welcome to episode 7 of Exploiting the Explicit. I'm your host, Abigail Hathaway, and here is the co host.
Corey Diamond. Let's go.
Well, thank you for tapping and tuning in today to our exciting perspective and theory discussion on the eyes.
Mm.
It might sound like a dry topic, but we will prove that it is wet. Eyes glistening is what I'm getting at.
Icy eyes. So what's going on with your theory with the eyes, Abigail?
So, I don't know if you or anyone out there has heard of this theory before, eyes being the window to the soul.
Mm.
I'd like to discuss how that is true and some of the things that you might see at first glance to know maybe where that soul is rooted truly.
Mm. I appreciate that. Yeah. No, I definitely have experienced that in my own life in terms of meeting people and just seeing something beyond what it is they're presenting to me. And it is always fascinating when you see later down the line whatever perception you had actually comes to the surface. And it's like I saw that, and it's weird because like you see it in the eyes. And what I realized, even personally, sometimes we can't even tell what our own internal state is when we look in our own eyes, and we can look in the mirror and like see our own pain sometimes.
Yeah.
And I think that's why in life, when we're having difficult seasons or difficult periods, have you noticed that it's kind of hard to look in the mirror because it's like I don't
Definitely.
even wanna, like, see myself, but it's because we recognize the kinda spiritual depravity that we kinda have sunk into,
Yeah.
and it's hard to face that, and so I think we can look in the mirror, but then we don't resonate with what's there because we're dissociated a little bit from
Yeah.
who we are, and so I think that just being conscious of that that gateway
Yeah.
when we're kind of connecting to ourselves and also connecting to other people and using it as a reference is something that could be beneficial.
Oh, definitely. So when you look in someone's eyes, it's like that initial instinct that you get of who they are, what they are. There's truth in that. Like for example, um, I've looked into the eyes of some individuals. Those individuals with those like bright, like wet looking, glistening eyes. It's like the more in alignment, the more filled with love, the more of aligned, yeah, spirit that you have with joy and with God, the more bright and glistening your eyes are. And it's almost like this sparkly reflection that you can see. And
Mhm.
when you see an individual like that, your gut, your instinct just knows. You're like, wow, like they're smiling with their eyes.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just like this brightness. But then when you look into the eyes of someone that's like a narcissist or a sociopath, like there's this cloud. It's like a dark,
Mhm.
just matte type, like window,
Mhm.
like to just the depths of hell. Like, and your
Mm.
gut tells you. I mean, there's been times that I've looked into the eyes of individuals and I'm just like, you're a narcissist, you're a sociopath. And like, as weird as it sounds, it's like I've even gone so far as to then interacting with these individuals to prove my gut was correct.
Mhm.
Or maybe my gut tells me, okay, they're a narcissist, but then I pursue them anyway, almost to like prove myself wrong. Like, oh, there's
Mhm.
no way that we can just know that by looking in
Mhm.
someone's eyes. And then
Mhm.
over time, it proves exactly what my gut instinct said. And it's like, why is your gut instinct so strong when you look in someone's eyes, too, of just knowing? like
Mm.
where their soul is like kind of rooted, what type of energy is puppeting them,
Mhm.
what's coming through. And the reason this topic to me is so interesting is because after I played around and collected my own empirical data on this,
Mhm.
I was at a party. It was like a Hollywood industry party. There was fun, celebrities there, a nice DJ from London was like playing. And all of a sudden, this like two guys come up and we're standing there talking. And I walk up, I'm just talking to everyone. And then I look at this guy and I see his eyes. And I was like, "You're a sociopath, aren't you?"
Mhm.
And he was just like, "Oh my god, how did you know?" It was like he was so, like, happy to be seen for the first time by someone and them not be shy to call him out on it, and it was just so interesting that,
Mm.
like, just calling someone out instantly on that and them confirming, because he's like, "How did you know?" I was like, "I could see it in your eyes,"
Yeah.
and this was after I collected so much data on it
Yeah.
that I guess I applied that what I knew, what I felt, what I've observed, and I was right. And
Yeah.
it has never failed me wrong when I see
Mhm.
that lack of glistening in an eye. Like extremely dilated pupils is
Mhm.
another characteristic that I see
Mhm.
in someone that's a narcissist.
Mm.
Um, like there is no like glisten. There's no glare that
Mhm.
comes to the eye. Like
Mhm.
when it's just like a, a soul, like a black hole. Like I don't know
Mm.
how to explain it
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
well. We're just
But
one
it's
thing.
because it's a spiritual thing, and so, like,
Yes.
trying to describe something spiritual with words sometimes just doesn't always do the concept justice. Like, there are
Yes.
some things
100%.
that, like, I realize, like, even Jesus, he spoke in parables because when you're trying to describe something spiritual to people, like, using the actual spiritual language just won't resonate. And so a lot of times God, he will speak to us in like parables, or he'll speak to us in like stories so we can like understand the deeper concept.
Yes.
And so like this concept is, it's like that's where the phrase like the eyes being window to the soul is like a way of us trying to like put words to something that's
Yeah.
deeper. And so
Mhm.
like even how you mentioned with the guy, like the fact that you were able to like reach out to him and like confirm what spiritually you were being revealed is something that I think we all have the ability to do, but we haven't learned how to trust that instinct. We haven't
Right.
learned how to validate those things. And most of us aren't going to go up and call out a narcissist or a sociopath
No.
because that's just kind of like
Who does
not what
that?
we're used to
I
doing,
mean,
right? But we know it deep down when we
right.
see that. And sometimes we override it. And something that came up when you were talking about your experience is like, how with that principle of looking in the eyes, like sometimes you can see someone, it works in reverse too. Like you can see someone who's so nice and
Mhm.
so pleasant, but in their eyes you see something else dark there.
Yeah.
And
It's
it's just so
off.
strange because
Yeah.
it's like this is so the opposite of what I would expect from somebody who's being this kind and this
Right.
nice. And then you get people who are like maybe like a biker, no offense to bikers, but someone that has like all these
Yeah,
tattoos and
like the
might just look,
stereotype
yeah,
of
like
what
a
you think would be a nice
stereotypical,
person.
but then you
Right.
see their eyes and it's just this light there,
Yeah.
this glistening
Yeah.
there.
Like
And then
they're
you
with God.
find out like,
Mhm.
oh yeah, they actually follow God. Like they're
Yes.
actually a
Oh,
believer. And it's like, wow, I
right.
knew it was something like there.
Yeah.
It just the outside didn't match what was
Mhm.
on the inside. And so there's like another phrase like don't judge a book by its cover.
Yep.
Like you can't
Mhm.
always sum somebody up by what you see on the outside cuz
Exactly.
there's a deeper layer. It's like
Yeah.
people um sometimes hide behind titles, they hide behind accomplishments, they hide behind what externally they think will help them get by in life,
Yeah.
but in reality, there's something totally different going on
Right.
behind the curtains of who it is that they're representing.
Mhm.
And I think that that is like it's important for us to just be aware of that. And you can't really escape narcissists. You can't really escape sociopath because they're out here and they are doing what they do. But when you're able to recognize them, then that gives you that much more ability to avoid being injured by them. Because
Yes.
that is at the end of the day what they do is they hurt people and they have their own
For
problems.
their own gain, for
Yeah.
selfish
Yeah,
reasons.
selfish reason.
Yeah.
And they have their own reasons for doing those things.
Mhm.
They were injured a lot of times abusers have been abused, right?
Yep.
And so
Yep.
like they were hurt when they were younger, and instead of like turning towards God as a way to um heal and be better in the world, they actually will, go the other direction and say, well, I'll never be hurt again. I'm just gonna hurt people first. Or,
Right.
like
Yeah, they
only
become
one I can look
cynical.
out for is me, or I'm
Mhm.
the only one that matters and I'll never let this like they just become focused on themselves. And it's like they literally cannot see other people.
Yeah. Yeah. They just see like transactions in
Yeah.
a way, or a target, or it's almost like a predator seeing the prey. Like
Wow, that's
it's,
deep. Yeah.
like the tiger that's going to go, or like the lion that's going to go after the gazelle,
Mhm.
isn't looking at the gazelle like a human being, or like,
No.
its
It's not
own
equal.
thing.
It's not
Right.
looking at it as another
Right. It's looking at the
lion.
prey like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm going to watch it and I'm going to wait and then I'm going to go after it and I'm going to take.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. And it's good that you use animals for an example because I think it alludes to the point that like when people get in that state of existence of narcissism, it's like comes second nature.
Yeah.
So like how a lion, you don't have to teach it to hunt a gazelle. You
Right.
don't have to like it's just part of what it is. Is
Mhm.
this nature is to destroy the gazelle. And with people that have like channeled that frequency, that their makeup, their minds are now in submission to this negative energy, this negative force, they just are like they just see people as prey. Like they
Yeah.
just operate on this wavelength. Kind of like how once you start thinking positively and getting on a higher frequency and being like positive, you're drawn towards other positive people and positive events and positive circumstances. Like narcissists, because of the frequency they're on, their frequency draws them to prey and people that they can use and people that they can like see weakness in. And it's just like
Mhm.
like life works for them
Yeah.
because they are able to draw in
I just had a realization.
what's
Think
that?
about it. Prey, right? Like the predator is going after the prey. Well, who's the predator? Devil, evil,
Mm.
going after the light, the ones that prey. Like the prey
Real.
are the ones that prey.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
ones that prey are the prey to the evil
Yeah, yeah.
because they want, I don't know.
Yeah, pray. Yeah,
Wordplay.
yeah. And then so you have to keep praying so you don't become the prey.
Right, right.
Yeah, you don't want to be the prey. And so that's where you stay connected to God, stay connected to Jesus, the higher power, the higher source. So that way when the devil comes, when the narcissist comes, when the people who are vibrating on a lower frequency than light come to you, you can get away. Because like how a lion doesn't always get every gazelle it goes after. Some of those things, I don't know if you ever watched the Discovery Channel, but sometimes it go after those little creatures and they just run, they escape. They don't always get caught. And
Yeah,
then you see a lion looking upset, it's like, dang, my meal is gone.
right.
But that's how that's
Yes.
how we have
And
to
that's how
be.
the narcissist will
Yeah.
they get mad.
They get ticked. But
Yeah,
because you're just a meal to them, a lot of times they just move
they
on
do.
to their next prey. They
Always.
don't
Mhm.
they don't
Right.
sit up and cry over
Nope.
the gazelle that escaped.
No.
They just like, well, The meal got away.
Right.
Next meal.
But escalate that to the psychopath, not the
Mm.
sociopath, but the psychopath. The psychopath will come back after
Yeah.
you.
No, Psycho is a whole
Yeah.
different story.
The
They
gradations
will
of evil.
they will obsess. They will
And you
obsess.
become their target,
Yeah,
whether
yeah.
they can see you or not. They're gonna devote their whole life to get you,
Yeah.
versus letting
Yeah.
you go into the bushes.
Yeah. And that goes back to, that spiritual protection from psychopaths. And sometimes you even need legal protection from psychopaths because, like you said, it's not so simple that you can deal with someone like that and just them
Right.
get the picture.
Right.
But there's levels to it, right? And like
Mhm.
when you connected to God, when you connect to that higher power, you can know what the right decision is to make when you're dealing with dangerous people,
Yes.
because there's not a shortage of dangerous people on this earth,
Mhm.
and they like to prey on good-hearted, kind people.
Mhm.
They like
Yeah.
to try to destroy good.
Mhm.
It's like they will rather walk past a drug dealer. Not no offense to drug dealers, but they'll try to walk past a drug dealer or someone that's like operating on that frequency and go after someone who's praying, or try to go after someone who has a kind heart, because that's what evil does. It just likes to destroy good.
Mhm.
And so that's why, as we are trying to be these beings of light, trying to vibrate on a higher frequency, that we just be mindful that we are in a battle, that we have enemies that want to destroy us. The ego, the
Mhm.
you know darkness of this world is hell bent on consuming the light, on hell bent
Mhm.
on consuming the positive, and we have to be a greater force for good
Yeah.
than those
Mhm.
forces are to destroy.
Well, it's like if you have the protection of God from the alignment of being, on your path, but also having that strength within to stand up, you're going to be a different level of prey, let's say, versus someone that is just genuinely weak. They have good intentions, but they're like a yes man, or they're a pushover, or they don't have a backbone to stand up for themselves. That's going to be that first level of prey to these narcissists,
Hmm.
versus someone that might come off that way. So then a narcissist will think, oh, this is a great prey. But then
Yeah,
as soon
yeah,
as you start standing up and you have a backbone and you show that you can fight
yeah.
because you were just virtuous, because you have the ability to be a monster, but you keep it tame, like Jordan
Yes.
Peterson says,
Yeah,
then
yeah.
you're not going to be the prey. You might look like prey to them, but then they're going to like
Yes.
come up to you and they're going to be like, oh my God, like I
Uh-huh.
can't actually mess with you. I'm not going to be able to eat you,
Yes.
because you'll turn around and like
Fight you off.
kill me
Like
from the inside out. Yeah.
that's so true. Oh my gosh. I
Mhm.
can think of so many situations in life where I came across as more gullible than I am,
Yeah.
or more naive
Mhm.
than I am, and it just completely shocks people and throws them for a loop once they realize, like, oh wait, he's not as naive as he comes across.
Mhm.
But it's like the naivety, it is good for like when you are um making friends. Like you have people like someone that's positive and uplifting. And I want to be that kind of a person. I want to be positive. I want to be easy to connect with. And so I'm open. I really am open to people in general, I think. But that has to have like its limits. That has to have its boundaries, right? You can be open, but you also can have boundaries. And what I realized
Yeah.
is, like, for me, like, this journey that I've been on in life is knowing where to set my boundaries, because if your boundaries are too lenient, it opens you up for more uh pain and more negativity. And so it's like when you are so open and it comes across as naivety, like people that are vibrating at that lower frequency will be drawn in, and they'll think, "Oh yeah, this is someone I could get," but they don't realize that you actually do have boundaries,
Yeah.
but your boundaries just aren't like defined enough to keep them from getting as close as they do get. You know what I
Right.
mean? And so
Well, it's like
sometimes
you're
you
receptive. You like invite everyone into your home. Like you will invite everyone in your home, but having the ability to like kick them out
right.
if they're not welcome
Yeah, yeah,
anymore. You know.
yeah. And
Or
and so and so what I think the stage of growth is to get to though is to be able to spot them before they even get in your home and be like,
right,
"No, you
exactly.
not
The
welcome in
discernment.
here."
Mhm.
Like I can see in your eyes
Yes.
that you
Right.
are not a good person. I don't
Mhm.
want anything to do with you. You know,
Exactly.
and that's the level I think that just through growth, experience, connection to God, you can more easily weed out people before they can get close enough to cause you just damage, to
Yeah.
cause you pain. Cause yeah, it's not fun to go through that experience. But
Right.
kind of like how we were talking off air,
Mhm.
like you still learn from the negative experiences that you go through in life, and kind
Right.
of like the people that burn you or the situations that burn you, it ultimately is used for, like, your betterment, you know
Mhm.
what I mean?
Yes.
And, like
If you're able to process it, like how we talked about the juicing method, if you're able to juice it the right way and
yes.
extract the good from it, then it'll always be there to help build you up and define your character and strengthen your character.
Yeah. Yeah, and I realize this topic has been so good, like, we've kinda shifted into our original state of the podcast and haven't brought in the viewer, but we just wanna appreciate y'all for, being here, and, just let us know, like, how has your experience been with looking into the eyes in your life? Have you seen where you can look in your own eyes and see, like, when you're feeling bad, like if you've been feeling depressed, you've been feeling down, seeing in your eyes, like, man, yeah, this isn't who I am, you know?
Yeah, and I've actually noticed that change in my own eyes when
Yeah.
I'm off my path, when I've been overtaken by evil, like if I get into a toxic relationship and I'm just being like fed off of like a parasite and a host dynamic. I
Mm.
have seen when I've gone so far from what it is I know I need to do and where I need to be with God
Yeah.
that I lose the glisten in my eyes and I
Mm.
even lose the little wrinkles. Like
Uh,
it was almost like I looked like an 80-year-old woman at one point, like with
yeah.
all the wrinkles, like the crow's feet. And my eyes were just so, I just remember vividly seeing how sparkly and glistening they were
Yes.
when it felt like I was at my spiritual peak before
Yeah.
I fell back off that path. And then when I fell off the path again and I kept going further and further back down into hell, I saw that go away and diminish. So I have seen it in my own
Yes.
self. And it's just a direct representation of what you're radiating out.
Yes. Yes. Like, yeah, I have been through things in life to where after those things happen, it's like my skin color changes, like I
Yeah.
look younger,
Mhm.
like I get
Yep.
my vibrancy back. All of that
Mhm.
comes from being connected to God and like not being connected to energy that is draining you,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, it's life versus death.
It's literally life versus death.
Yeah.
And like people that operate on that lower frequency are drainers. They just take, 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 take,
Mhm.
and they give you breadcrumbs
Yep.
to try to, make you feel like they're actually there for you or they're on your side or that there's actually possibly a future for you and that person. But in reality, you're just being literally withered up and
Yeah.
drained.
You're the host, they're the parasite
Yes,
sucking
yes,
from the inside out.
yes.
Mhm.
And so,
Like, I bet if you look at pictures, like, if you get into a toxic relationship or
mhm,
maybe you were in one, look at pictures of how you looked before the relationship started, and then at the end of that, like, you can see the life sucked out of you. Or,
mhm,
what, evil likes to do is, feed you to fatten you up to feed off of you. So
uh-huh.
a lot of people know this, that when you get into that toxic relationship and you start getting bigger and bigger and bigger because you're so depressed, you're eating
Mm,
your away your feelings. That's just evil fattening you up to feed off of you more.
yeah, yeah,
Like, I know it sounds crazy, but
yeah,
read the screw tape letters.
right,
Read
and
Outwitting the Devil.
yeah, and everyone has like different connections to that as well because I realized when I've been in relationships that weren't good for me, I mean, I don't know if it's just due to like the underlying anxiety that I've had to battle in life,
Mhm.
it's hard for me to eat. So I actually lose weight when
Oh,
I
the
get in a relationship, and
opposite.
so it's literally like I'm being
Yeah.
drained, you
Yeah,
know?
so the nutrients are being taken from you. I never
Yes.
even thought the opposite could be. Like, you're
Yes.
getting starved from your life force. Your
Yes.
life force is getting sucked from you versus, well, I mean, both ways it's getting sucked, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
just the other dynamic of
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Oh my god.
So
I
it's
didn't
like
think
when
about
I've
that.
been kind of like just on my path and like um vibrating at a higher frequency, like I feel more solid. Like
Yeah.
I checked the scale the other day, and I'm like, wow, I'm actually like getting my beefiness back.
Nice, right?
So yeah, like
Mhm.
it makes a difference though. It
Mhm.
really does. And making sure to stay on that path, stay rooted in God, stay rooted in your purpose.
Mhm.
Don't allow people into your life that are going to drain you. Look into their eyes, look into their soul, see what's there. Do you see God? Do
And
you see
believe it
light?
when you see it.
When you see it, believe
Yeah.
it. Is this somebody that is going to be for me, or is this somebody that is using who I am for them?
Right. Are
You
they for
know,
you or against you?
are they for you or against you? Or sometimes, like when it comes to people like that, they might not even necessarily be against you, so to speak, but
Right.
they're more for themselves than they are for you. And so it's like your life is inconsequential to them
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
they're more for themselves than they are for you. It's a lot of times it's not even necessarily personal.
Right.
It's just they are in this darkness. And like I said, like we said earlier, it's a spectrum, right? Like some people really are evil and like psychopaths. Like they just want to kill and destroy. But I feel like the majority of people that's vibrating on that lower frequency, they're just hurt people.
Right.
They're just
That's all
like
they know.
wounded, yeah, just
Mhm.
wounded people that don't that choose not to uh operate in a different way because the way that they've
Yeah.
operated in their life has protected them and served them to the place that where they are. And
Right. It's how they know how to survive. Yeah.
it's how they know how to survive. They haven't learned a better way. And so they do what they do.
Mhm. It also comes down to, like, what God you worship, and in a way, whether they
Yes.
realize they're worshiping or not, if they're feeding evil versus feeding light, feeding the devil versus feeding God, then that's
Yes.
just naturally what's gonna occur, and with us living in the secular world, most individuals don't understand these dynamics. They might be atheist, agnostic, not take the time to delve into the unseen dimensions of our existence,
Yes.
then that's going to solidify and make it even deeper rooted in their programming to behave
Yes.
that way, to act that way, to see the world that way, to
Yes.
approach people that way.
Yes. That is
Mhm.
fire.
You don't know
Dropping
what you
them
don't know.
dropping those bombs. Yes,
Mhm.
1,000% because the being that you're connected to will generate the actions that you are emitting and doing into the world.
Yes.
And being connected to God is the best way to live for not only for yourself but for other people. And I've known several people who identify as like spiritual but not following God, not like connected to Christ.
Yeah.
And the red flag with that, and this is
Mhm.
not to upset anyone who identifies as spiritual because I recognize that you can have all kind of beliefs and it's not like putting anyone down. But the problem with being ungrounded and just saying like I'm spiritual is that means that whatever spirits come your way, you're open to. And you
Right.
don't want to be open to every spirit.
Right.
Some
Right.
spirits you need to shut out. Some
Yeah.
spirits you need to close. And that
It's
goes
shutting the
back to
door, not letting them
yes.
in.
And that goes
Mhm.
back to the eyes being the window to the soul. So
Yeah.
you have to know which spirits you are aligning yourself with because
Yeah.
not every spirit is a spirit of God. there's I'm not exactly sure if it's a scripture or if it's like a ministry. I'm pretty sure it's a scripture that says like the devil likes to disguise himself as an angel of light.
Yeah.
And so what that means is like sometimes you can like be connected to the spiritual plane and think that, oh yeah, this is God, when reality
Mhm.
it's the devil in disguise.
Yep.
And so that's where having that deeper connection to God, for the true God for who he is, will
Mhm.
protect you against those spirits that pretend to be
Right.
good, but
Yeah.
in reality they're
Mhm.
not. And so, I just felt compelled to like draw that distinction as we kind of
Yeah.
talk through this issue, because it really is important to get that discernment,
Yeah.
to know the difference
Mhm.
between just being like, oh, I'm just out here, whatever spirits want to come my way, you know,
Mhm.
as long as I'm like in tune, it'll be good. It's like, no,
Mhm.
actually, not necessarily.
Mhm.
A lot of spirits are just narcissists. It's like the
Yeah.
narcissist
Yeah.
version of
Yeah. They
spirits.
make you question your reality,
Yes.
you know?
Yes. Yes. The spirits are narcissistic. They're just
Mhm.
like, oh, let me see who I can latch on to and
Yeah.
like deceive them and keep them operating outside of God's frequency.
Right. Oh, definitely. And one thing that you mentioned regarding that awareness and that discernment, it's like anytime you make a declaration
Mhm.
that you're gonna, be aligned with God and be on your path and be the light and exude love, it's or a more specific example would be, say you just get out of a toxic relationship and you're like, I am going to focus on me and I'm not going to date. That's when all of a sudden the devil's like, okay, you declared this in the name of God, in the name of love, in the name of light. Okay, well, now let me dangle in front of you exactly what I think,
Yes.
that I'm going to put the veil over evil. And you're going to think this person that just walked into the room, they're everything that you've been looking for. And then over time, within, it always happens within 90 days. I swear, it's like a 90-day period.
Okay.
Within 90
Yeah, yeah.
days, you will always see the veil removed
Interesting.
and that evil exposes itself, but then you've been reeled in, and now you're going to constantly sit around unless you got that boundary and that strength to walk away. You're
Yeah.
going to constantly question and wonder, will they ever come back to the light? Will they ever come back to love? But the thing is, it was all a false facade. It was the devil representing itself as the angel of light, like you said, and it's not from God. It's from evil, and you didn't shut the door
Yeah.
when evil tried to come in because you declare that you're going to do XYZ. And then that's when the temptation comes to see, did you actually mean that?
Yeah.
Are you going to stay on that path of what you
Yeah.
just said?
Yeah.
Oh, well, how strong are you really?
Yeah, that's deep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can't deceive ourselves, even though we try to. I realize that, and I'm learning
Mhm.
that like if you want to create the future that you really want to create, you have to speak in positive, not in negative.
Yeah.
So, for example, if you say like I'm never gonna talk to someone like this again, or I'm not gonna date right now, or I'm not. It's like that is drawing in
Mhm.
that, because you can't really distinguish between what you want and what you don't want when you're making those kind of statements. And so it's like the speaking in the negatives um sometimes is more powerful than when you speak in a positive, because there's more energy behind negative statements than positive statements, right?
Right.
And so
Because that's
when
what we're programmed.
yeah, that's what we're programmed.
Yeah.
And so it's like we almost are trying to deceive ourselves and
Yeah.
convince ourselves that, oh, yeah, I'm not going to do that. When deep down, it's still what you want. It's still something that you're desiring. And so you're trying to trick yourself to be like, oh, yeah, I'm not going to do this. But it's like, no, actually, that's what you really want. Otherwise, you wouldn't need to say
Yeah.
it.
You genuinely have to let it
You
go.
genuinely have to let it go, and you have to operate on, I'm not looking for that right now. This is more something more so that I think is a more positive statement. Be like, I'm not looking for that right now. What I want is X. So it's
Yeah.
like that way you set in your intentions your mindset in the direction of what it is that you want rather
Yeah.
than what you don't want, because that's where the challenge comes in at. That's
Mhm.
where the devil sees it as an opportunity to try to sneak in and say, "Oh yeah, you don't want
Mhm.
this? Let's see if you don't want it."
Right.
And it'll be like, "Wow, this is the perfect person. Literally everything I ever wanted
Yeah.
right here." And it's that angel of light in
Yeah.
disguise.
Right. But
It's
and
it's
it leads
it's
to a
that
death of you.
yeah.
You know, it's like darkness is death where lightness is life.
Yeah.
You know, and when darkness comes in and tries to take over, there's parts of you that die. Maybe you gave up a passion that you
Yes.
were so involved in, and then
Yes.
you were dangled with the temptation of this lover, and you're like, they're the one, and then you go after
Yes.
them, and then all of a sudden your passion is drained and you die. Darkness is death.
Yes.
Lightness is life.
Yes. That's literally like it's almost like you took the words right out of my mouth, because what I was realizing
Mm-hmm.
is that you will know when the right person has come your way, because they won't take you away from the things that you know in your heart you're supposed to do. They
Yes.
will actually be in line with what it is that you are called by God to do, and they will
Right.
help take you to the next level. They will
Yeah.
strengthen you on your path, not try to pull you outside of what your purpose is and what you
Right.
know what God is calling you to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like use that as a weeder.
Right.
Use
Right.
that as like you on a date with someone or you chatting up someone and they seem like the perfect person. See how in alignment they are with your goals and where God is taking you.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
if you
Mm-hmm.
get even the smallest inkling
Yeah.
that y'all aren't aligned, trust
Mm-hmm.
that.
Yes, that
Trust
instinct.
that. Don't
Right.
say, "Oh, well, I guess maybe if I change this a little bit,
Yeah.
compromise a little
Mm-hmm.
bit here,
Because you're letting your
it can
mind
work. I
overpower
can."
your heart. And
Yeah.
it's in this conversation, it's reminding me of the reticular activating system. Is
Mhm.
how they say, well, once you get a car, you see that car everywhere.
Yes.
Well, you know what you're wanting and desiring, so then you can find and reshift like the patterns of perception of this new individual that comes into your life to make them fit exactly what
Yes.
it is you're looking for, and then you talk yourself logically into being like, well, they match this part and this part because I see it here, and oh, okay, well, maybe this part on my like hard yes or like the hard nose, maybe it doesn't mean as much as I felt like it
Yes.
did before meeting this person.
Oh
So
my
then
god.
you shift and change everything to like match the mold that they fit, and then you're like miserable and you wonder why.
I can relate to that so
Yes.
much. For sure.
Right.
For sure.
Mhm. But the right person, you wouldn't have to do that in the sense they just organically match
Yes.
your list, and shoot, you might not even be thinking about it, and then it
Yep.
just, God always brings who needs to be in your life into your life. And the devil will bring people into your life, but then those people leave. It's like those that are meant to stay will stay organically, naturally, without force. Force is destructive. Notice how any relationship you might have been in that happened like that, like in a snap, it was forced, it was
Yeah.
destructive. Look how much it destroyed. Not
Yeah,
even
yeah.
just that relationship, but the destruction of that relationship destroyed so much around it. Maybe your
Mhm.
career, your friendships,
Mhm.
maybe the job you have, the house you have, the money you make, it just,
Yeah.
force is destructive.
Yes.
Where construction, like if you're being constructive and building, that takes time. Rome wasn't built in a day.
Yeah.
But evil destroys, and things can be destroyed in the blink of an eye.
Yes. That's facts.
Yeah.
It takes a lot less time to tear something down than it does to build it up.
Yes, exactly. Mhm.
Yep,
Yeah.
it's physics.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of building up, we are building up, exploiting the explicit, one episode at a time.
Yes. And we
Corey,
won't
any last
and we
thoughts?
won't
Oh,
tear it down in a day.
right.
My
You two
last
might, but
thoughts, yeah, yeah, right. My last thoughts is I got a new song out called Favor. It's a dance song, and it's just about God's favor being on his people, on his children.
yeah.
And I want it to be kind of like a reminder something you can like exercise to or listen to um in the morning to just like remind you that you're not operating on a frequency of negativity. You operate on a frequency of life, of blessings, abundance. So you start looking for those things to happen for you in the day because God wants to bless us. He loves to
Yeah.
bless his children. He wants us to have a good life and enjoy ourselves, enjoy our lives. And so being reminded that, hey, I'm dripping in that favor is
Mhm.
an important thing, I think, for people to know.
The flavor of the day is the favor.
Hey.
When I heard it, I felt like I was in Miami.
Hey,
Like,
there
it
you
is
go.
that kinda song,
There you
like,
go.
you know? It's summertime.
It's summertime. Exactly. Good.
Excellent. Well, we would love to hear comments, thoughts, opinions, insight, whatever you wanna share with us in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe so you're alerted when our next episode comes out.
Hit that subscribe button.
And thank you all for
Thank you.
joining.